Larry, this is Greg. I thought we would go over a couple of your tuning responsibilities. Now, you shouldn't have to do this really often. I would say every 30 hours or something, you get time, you pull a valve cover if it's going to be convenient. I know you're going to have air conditioning and what have you on this motor, but I would say probably the first 1,000 or 10,000 miles you put on it, you should be doing this a couple of times. And the reason being is because everything is new. Your push rods, lifters, cam, it's all new. And along with everything being aluminum on the top of the motor and the short block being cast iron, you're going to have two expansions, or rate of expansions, I should say, because your cast iron does not expand as fast as your aluminum does. So I'll go over all this, all of your head bolts, all that has been going over. We actually ran it through 2 heat cycles, and that usually gives your head bolts their chance to stretch. So after it cools down, we always go over, we always drop the oil out of it, send our vials of oil away to have them tested. We actually cut the filter apart after it's been run through its heat cycle, and this is your canister filter that we cut apart, and then we always inspect the filament after the motors went through a couple heat cycles to make sure there's no debris, no excess material. Of course, you're going to have some small metallic because of your ring seating in. Any place there's metal to metal contact, you'll have to actually, on a fresh motor when you first fire it up, you'll actually have little pieces of real fine metal. But as you can see, there's actually very little. It actually turned out good. The oil test came back really well. So we took it through its last heat cycle last night. This morning, since the motor's cool, we're going to adjust the valves one more time. I want to show you how to do that in case you have to. I have marked the harmonic balancer off where you're going to have to set your timing. You will see right here, I made a white mark. That's top dead center. And down inside, I hope you can see this. Okay, right there. You will see where my finger's at. Right there. I have made a mark at 10 degrees. You will set your timing at a warm idle, 800 to 1,000 RPMs at 10 degrees. This will line up with that mark. There. I will set it for you while we have the engine running here. I want to show you how to adjust valves. You need to individualize each cylinder, and on a small block it's easy. It's 2 valves together. Line your exhaust rocker arm up, which it will line up with your header. That's exhaust. This is your intake. Now to set your valves, and it doesn't matter the duration, this works no matter if it's a hydraulic roller, if it's a solid roller, if it's a flat tappet roller, a solid flat tappet. This is pretty much will follow suit. You won't have to go through and mark your harmonic balancer off. Always crack your exhaust valve, and you'll bump it over till you just see that rocker arm move. Let me take my wrench off here. I'll try to hold this close enough you can see this. You're going to bump it over. You see your intake's already moving. It's coming back up. Now you will turn it over until that exhaust valve just starts to move. Right there it did. Now you can set your intake. All you do, you crack your exhaust, set your intake. And how you're going to set your intake is you'll reach on the back side of your lifter here, and you will tighten your nut until your push rod quits spinning. Now I always mark I always imagine you have a complete circle, and I mark it off hourly. You know, there's 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock. You always want to preload your lifters. I like to see them preloaded 10,000s, which is 1 hour. So you know that you got it. You adjust your lifter down to where the push rod is just snug, and then I always try to get my wrench as close as straight as like a 6 or a 7 o'clock. Anything's convenient for you. And I preload it 1 hour. Okay, you're gonna do 1 hour. Then lock your. There's a poly lock in the middle here. I'm gonna lock it, and then I turn them both together another half hour. That way you lock your poly lock in against the stud, and it will never move. So I grab a hold of both of them, turn them both a half hour, and you'll feel it really get snug where it locks it. And that one's done. Then you want to open your intake valve all the way open and start to shut it. And then you can set your exhaust valve. And then that cylinder's done. We'll do that. Exhaust valve's all the way open. It's coming shut. See your intake valve starting to move. All the way open, and then I'll set it here on the side so you can see it better, and then you'll start to shut it. See it start to move shut? Now your exhaust valve is ready to set. You do it the same way, or you're ready to set your exhaust valve. You set your exhaust valve the same way you did your intake. Loosen it up until you can spin your push rod and keep tightening down until the push rod becomes snug. And then I want it preloaded 1 hour, which is 10,000s. If you had a dial indicator on the back here, it would be 10,000s. Preload, they call it. And then after you set your nut and your poly lock together, I always try to keep them at 6. Then you want to preload it 1 hour. Take it in there, move this wrench and your poly lock together. Make sure it's locked together. Move them both together 1 hour. That will preload that lifter 10,000s, which they actually want you preloading 50, but I don't like to see that because it knocks the plunger out of the lifter. And preloaded 1 hour. Make sure you pull your lock with it so your lock's locked, and this cylinder's done, and you're ready to move one back to the same next cylinder. Do it the same way. Crack the exhaust. This one will be the exhaust. You can set your intake. Open your intake all the way open and start to shut it, and then you can set your exhaust. Okay, I'm going to shut the recorder off. When I turn it back on, we will start the motor. We'll run it through another heat cycle, and I'll show you how to set the timing, and that should be it. All right, thank you.